One of the interesting things with the pandemic is that we find ourselves working a lot with remote teams. Our team members are scattered all over. But how do you ensure that your scattered, remote working team members are actually working and being productive, actually closing deals? In today's episode, my friend Skip Miller is going to give us some insights, some ideas and strategies that you can take literally right now and apply to ensure that you as a seller and your team, if you're a team leader, is producing during these challenging times. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast here on YouTube on TSE TV. I'm your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have an amazing guest. He is a past guest, and he's coming back with some more goodness. He is the president, CEO of an organization called M3 Learning. His name is Skip Miller. Now, Skip is, he's working in Silicon Valley doing some amazing things. And he's produced a wonderful book on sales management and leadership. And we'll put that in our show notes. And if you can scroll down, you'll get a chance to see that. But he has a new book right now. And it's called Outbounding. And this book is all about how we can release our dependency on inbound leads and how we can do outbound, how we can be more effective at this as sellers. And he's going to give some strategies towards that today. But most importantly, he's going to give you as a sales leader what you can do to ensure your team is actually producing. On the other side, he's going to give us some great insight as a seller on what we can do to make sure we are producing during these remote scenarios and these challenging times. Anyway, sit back. Let's go ahead and dive into the episode, take some insights, and apply them. Welcome to the show, Skip. Welcome back to the show, Skip.
It's been a while, but I loved it. So pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to have you back. I'm excited to hear your wisdom and your insights. I mean, a lot of great things that are going on right now in some interesting time period. And one of the things that we're seeing, especially during these efforts, is that salespeople are still responsible for generating sales. When it's all said and done, no matter what difficult time we're going through, they still have to have that opportunity. And I wanted to brag for a second before we dive into the content today, but you just have finished a book that's out right now, right? And would you mind talking to that for a little bit? What made you decide to go back into the writing and putting out a piece of content?
Yeah, what made me decide to go back into writing? I hate writing books. This one was like 40,000 words. It's like, okay, go. So yeah. But when I see a problem, right, I got to jump on it. So it was about this time last year that people were running short. The inbound leads were kind of drying up, the low-hanging fruit, whatever you want to call it. So salespeople were lying to themselves. Be it October, November of last year, they're saying, I got it covered. I got 80% done, but if I work a little harder, I got it. And I'd say, what about outbounding? What about prospecting? Yeah, I'll get to that. Don, we're convinced salespeople every day ask themselves the sales question: should I prospect today, or should I poke myself in the eye with a pencil? I mean, what's gonna hurt? What's gonna hurt worse?
I think prospect.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I hated to do it. Fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. We all hate it.
Sure.
So I finally said, okay, we're going to find out what are some best practices. And I started writing the book. And then I said, this is wrong, because the best thing about outbounding and prospecting is attitude. Every salesperson has a territory, and that territory needs your help. They're losing money. They're not making the money they should. They need some help and guidance. And you got to be on a mission to help your customers, not try to sell them something. So if you have a mission of, I got to get out there and be more marketing oriented than sales oriented about getting your message out, saying, hey, if these are your problems and concerns, maybe we should chat, rather than, hi, we're a leader, we're number one, and you should talk to us. I mean, That's all about you. So I finally wrote the book to say, listen, who's doing it well? And I interviewed some great companies who are doing it right. And I interviewed the managers, not the CFOs or the CROs or CMOs. I interviewed the street people going, what works for you and what doesn't? And that's what we kind of captured in the book.
Fascinating, man. And I think this will be great. So it's not theory. This is real life, real results you can take and apply. And if you're watching this on YouTube on TSE TV, you'll see the link now below, or see a little pop-up there. And I want you guys to go ahead and check out that book, check out some of the things that Skip has. But that book is fantastic. We'll put it back in the show notes as well. And if you want to just wait and hear all the great things that Skip have to offer before you make a decision, well, you can do that at the end of the episode as well.
Yeah, and we got a new website, proactiveoutbounding.com, and I've got 5 free 2-3 minute lessons that you can actually see part of the book, and I'll actually go through what the templates are and stuff, all for free. And you
Wow.
could just take those 5 templates and run and have a good time. So whatever it is to get people to get that extra 20% gap to try to fill it, let's go, because it's needed.
Done. All right, we'll do that. Now, this is go right along that same vein, right? Because now we have salespeople who are timid, who are not who are afraid to actually do the outbounding and to do that prospecting. And this is where the manager, she's probably listening to this and she's like, "Yes, Donald, I know this, Skip, I understand, but I just need to get these folks who are sitting at home. I am not there with them. How do I ensure that they're actually selling?" So I come to you, great sensei, Skip. Guide us. How do we ensure there are people who are actually selling these days? And maybe you could talk to us about the problem that you're seeing and then going into some ideas here.
We've gone back to measuring on trailing indicators rather than leading indicators. So revenue is a trailing indicator.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm through 3 quarters. John, you're 90% of your number. You got ground to make up. So let's go forward. You're looking at past results to potentially influence forward thinking. And I've hugely been a fan of leading indicators. What causes results or revenue to happen? And I'm a big fan of something called frequencies and competencies. So doing a lot or a little of bad or good stuff. So, how many senior level C-suite we call above the line buyers that you're talking to? How many callbacks have you gotten from the ATL? Of the 10 ATLs, senior level executives you're talking to, how many cell phones do you have? Or is it just an email relation? So you could start measuring proactive activities, leading activities, and same with competencies. Let me hear your pitch if you're talking to a user buyer that we call below the line. Let me hear your pitch about how you're talking to a senior buyer. Send me your email. And we all know email should be 120 words or less. Send me your email that you would send to a below the line buyer. Send me your email that you would send to a above the line buyer. These frequencies and activities is called coaching, which is what we should. Well, that's Don. I would stand in front of a room of 100 sales managers and say in a 5-stage sales cycle, where do you get involved the most? And they're going to say stage 4, stage 5, getting the deal across the line. And I'd say, well, what about stage 2? And they go, yeah, I got to do more of that. Yeah. And that's where all this stuff happens.
Yeah.
So good managers right now are really focusing on frequencies and competencies, making it a game, a challenge, so everybody's kind of involved, raising the bar for everybody. And they're also sitting back going, let's do more coaching on stage 2, stage 3 deals rather than, it's the end of the quarter, I got to get these deals in. That's going to happen naturally. But what are you really doing to affect stage 2, stage 3 stuff? And that's what I kind of wrote about. But right now, the good companies are starting to do that more and more.
Yeah, I mean, I 100%. I think a deal. I always say this to our team. Your deal, the close of your deal is going to be determined by that stage 2, so to speak. That's your discovery phase. Like if you're doing poor discovery, it's kind of like, sometimes people just wait for. Did you watch the football game last night? Arizona.
I did.
Saw the highlight. It's kind of like hoping that the very end will hit that Hail Mary and that DeAndre Hopkins going to jump up and grab that football. It's not always going to happen like that, right? But if
I had Buffalo. I'm listening to the game going, what happened? Yeah.
I woke up to, I didn't finish it, but I saw my fantasy points and I was like, oh my goodness, this is great. I was like, yes. How in the world did they pull that off? But anyways, but the point though is like, it's kind of like that in the game. I see it the way you're sharing it. It's like a manager planning that I'm just going to play the game in the fourth quarter. I'm just going to play at the last 10 minutes. And it's like, why don't you get ahead? And why don't you do a really good job that they can't come and beat you in Q1 and Q1 and Q2 or in the first stages, stage 1 to stage 2. And I think that's where you're with those leading. Sorry, go ahead with that.
Yeah, no, my son was a quarterback. And before the game, they always walk through the first 20 plays.
Yeah.
And you know the first 20 plays, it's not really what you do at the end of the game. You're going to do something, but if your first 20 plays, that's what really planning, that's where coaching belongs. Those
Yeah.
first 10, 20 plays. So we see great now managers doing huddles with their team going, okay, this is mid-November. We got probably have about 2 more weeks to go in the year because next week's Thanksgiving, nothing's going to get done. And everybody's going to take the last 2 weeks of December off because they're all zoomed out. So they can't, they want to check out. So in the next 2 weeks, how many ATLs you're going to get to? How many new prospects? This block thing, I just was stunned with.
Hmm.
I talked to a manager at one of my customers. I go, you got a bunch of AEs, you got SDRs and stuff and so on, but you require your AEs to process. How do you do that? He goes, we take a block of 25, put them in a 2 week window. We have 12 to 14 touches. Then after 2 weeks, we take that block of 25 out. We put a new block of 25 in. 2 weeks later, 10 to 12, 14 touches. Take that. They have 3 rotating blocks of 25. And when the block comes out, you take some people out who never responded. You put some people in that did respond or whatever it may be. And that rotating block of 25 per AE. I go, geez, that sounds like a lot. He goes, it takes my AEs less than an hour a day to do that.
Wow.
Then we have contests who wrote the best email that got the best response rate, who got this done, right? And we give out these little awards, but the learning skill sets are rising, people are having fun, and it takes them less than an hour a day. So those things are possible, and that's what we're seeing great managers coach to, rather than, okay, pipeline review, how's it going? What has to come in? And what are we going to do to make the number for the month? I mean,
Yeah.
which is important, but that's not helping out in this time where you need better communication skills.
Yeah, and I love this idea too of the different awards, because now you're inspiring everyone. That the playing field is leveled from the new green seller to the seasoned vet who's selling on the team. Everyone could play at this game and could figure out ways to craft great emails, because I think sometimes, especially our new folks, they're not tainted with the industry knowledge, so they're able to they're curious, so they're writing curious emails. But I think that's fun, because now if my team is scattered across the U.S., we're not all in the same place, or even if we're all in the same city but we're not meeting physically in person, when we jump into that morning huddle or that afternoon huddle, wherever time you have that huddle, but if you're able to come and say, yeah, I want to see if I'm on a leaderboard with this, the open rates that I'm seeing, or with my response rate, again, it's exciting. They're going to work as a natural byproduct, but you don't have to be a micromanager over their shoulder to check Salesforce, or to check outreach to see if they're actually doing the calls or whatnot. I think that's kind of silly.
Exactly right. And we're finding when you put people in what we call fit teams, teams of 3 or 4, okay, give that team a goal, whatever else. The people who aren't doing what they should do, the other people call them out on it. Hey, excuse me, you got to pull your own weight here. You didn't, we've outbounded to 10 ATLs today. You did none. It's going to bring our team huddle down. Either we're going to kick you off the team, or you better, it's hysterical, that peer pressure.
Yeah.
But you'll laugh at this. I have a manager, you talk about positive rewards.
Yeah.
She gives out 4 awards per week. Okay. Most outbound attempts, email, voicemail, whatever it may be. Most connects, right? Most connects with above the line buyers, more executive buyers. But the biggest award of the week that everybody goes for
Yeah.
is the jerk of the week story. Wednesday, Thursday, people are calling up anybody. They just want to get rejected. They want to hear a good jerk story. So they just start dialing to try to get a jerk story, because you don't want to show up to the Monday morning huddle without a jerk story. Oh, it's just a great concept about how to push people through some of their walls and their paradigms. But that's been going really well.
Man, I might have to borrow that from my team. I think they'll be pleased by it. Uh, I know one of them right now is probably like, yes, I can find that jerk.
Yeah. And Don, the other thing we're looking at right now is sales managers are doing a really good job, if they're any good, at disqualifying deals. They're not allowing a bunch of stuff to sit in the funnel, stuff that's taking forever. They're too low in the organization. We talked to them 6 months ago, but it still should be in the pipe. No. So disqualifying deals is really a great manager strength right now, because salespeople will sit on anything that doesn't have to have them, prospect or outbound. And because they're hiding behind Zoom, they're not in the office and stuff and so on, they can really hide. So disqualification skill sets for the manager has to have some guidelines. If we haven't had contact in 2 weeks, drop it below the line. If
Yeah.
we are not in contact with the above the line buyer, drop it before the line. If we don't know the size of the problem, if they haven't told us what the size of the problem is and why they're making a change, drop it below the line. So great managers right now are communicating to their sales reps. We're not letting garbage come into the funnel. We really got to do a better job than just, I know prospecting is tough and we got a thin pipeline and we got to get it. No, don't let garbage in your pipeline. You got to keep moving there. So that's been a really good thing from some of the sales managers who are on top of this as well.
Okay, before we go into our last part, Skip, your mic is rubbing on the collar a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. There we go.
Thanks.
Yeah. No. So understanding this, then, so managers are doing their doing the ones that are doing a bang up job are seeing some good results. They're seeing that the teams are actually engaging and they're not micromanaging, and they don't have to do that. You spoke about games, you spoke about the awards, you spoke about the leading indicators. What else do you have up your sleeve, Skip? Because I know you got a couple of your sleeves that you would.
That's a lot already.
I know. Anything else that you have up your sleeve you'd be willing to share with folks as we come towards the end of this episode that they could take, whether they're a sales leader or they're a sales rep, because the sales rep right now, they want to show that they're actually doing their job, and managers want to actually make sure they're doing their job. But any other advice that you would give?
Well, you mentioned it. We have this thing called the Big Five. What really generates interest for your buyers, and outside of referrals, somebody I know and stuff and so on, which is always gold. Make me curious. Make me curious about my job title, my industry, my company. Curiosity is always going to get some sort of response, some sort of interest. I went to Australia before this whole COVID thing went down last year, and I'm looking at online, all of a sudden 5 seats left. It's like, no, I'm going to be on that plane. It was like 5 seats in my price category. I mean, that plane was half full. So make me curious about something is a big one. So in your email subject lines or first 80% of emails are open up on mobile devices, yet we write them on laptops. So we write novels. So the best thing you could do is if you're going to email prospect, write it on your phone. So it's in the same context and formats of how I'm going to read it. Keep it to under 120 words, because I'm going to give you one swipe. More than one swipe, I'm going to kill you, and make me curious. Curiosity is going to, here's something that's happening in 2021. Do you know that? We've got 3 customers who are doing this and making tons of money. Are you? I mean, those types of things are going to be more solid than announcements. We have just been given this award. We've got these new, that's all about you. I don't really care. And it's an announcement. It's a statement. Hasn't done anything to make me curious. So that's the last thing I got up the sleeve for you there.
My goodness. Yeah. The curiosity is 100% right. And to go back to the idea of that mobile device, what I told we have a company that we started using their software, and they're friends of ours and sponsors our show. It's called Scipio, so you guys can check them out. But but Scipio wanted their text. It's texting, and what they're seeing. I mean, the studies show that sales emails get open at a rate of about 25%, and open rate for a text is 98%. So going back to what you're saying, do you have the text message of that person above the line? That shows that, if I can go into text relationship, that's going to be so much better. But one of the things that we're seeing with all of that, though, is that when you are able to write the emails like a text, we are seeing personally in-house better results. So we just pretend like it's a text message. What are you going to say? And one of my team, bro, I mean, my brother, he works with our company, but it's like Skip, it's like his phone is attached to his body. Just so I'm like, this is perfect. You're going to be making tons of money now. Just keep it there.
No, you're right. You got to think your prospects all have ADD. Everybody's getting 200 emails. They're getting 400 LinkedIn invites. Everybody's got so much going on. They don't have time to read a novel. So write your phone, write your emails. And by the way, because everybody's at home, texting is now fair game. Be professional, be polite about it and stuff. But everybody's phone now, cell phone's the only way they have to communicate. So texting is fair game, but be polite about it.
Yeah.
Ask permission. Just don't start spamming me because I'll get pissed. So,
Yeah.
but texting is fair, but write it on a thing that in a format I'm going to read. Don't write me a novel that's got, I'm not going to read it. Text,
Yeah.
I want it done in 4 to 6 seconds. Boom.
You want to know one of the interesting things, Skip, that we saw was when I wrote that we're writing the emails. Here I am. We're writing the text messages in the Scipio software, and then my brother was like, "Listen, that's not an. You're writing like an email, bro. Like, stop. Like, that sounds too much like an email. Write it like a text message." And what he saw, he was doing was what you're saying, the curiosity. Because I'm like, they don't know who you are. Like, traditionally you want to know, they want to read the email, they want to know who you are and what you're writing about. So in this message that he was sending out to them, message number one was pure curiosity. It was like, hey, we're doing this, blah, 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 blah. I thought it could help you. Oh, by the way, second text message, this is Jermaine with TSE. So instead of me trying to put this all in one, it was like, well, who are you and what's happening? But that caused the engagement in a text message. Because if you send a text message, you don't know who you are. They're like, who is this? Naturally, they'll say, who is this? And it's like, oh, it's Jermaine with TSE, sales evangelist. Oh, yeah, love Donald, blah, blah, blah. And that's
Right.
because they all signed up on the website, right? And they put their phone numbers in. So then now they know, and that was leading to engagement. But again, my old school mind thinking, it was an email. I got to cram all this stuff in.
No.
Cut it down, make it a text message. Make it into, if you're thinking like it's going to be one email, make it into 2 text messages. And make your emails into 2, essentially. And anyways, great thoughts, man. Great thoughts.
No, you're exactly right. If you're going to send a text, write it like a text. It's different than an email. Come on, let's go.
So we're got these managers here, and they recognize that they can improve. They recognize some of these things. They're going to try some of this, and I'm going to make sure we put all of them back in our show notes so folks can actually try them and test it out. And if you're listening to this episode and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I want you to swipe up on the cover art and click on Skip's link. Click on that book and go check it out. Outbounding is amazing. And if you're watching on YouTube here, just go and click on the link below. But Skip, other than that, is there anything you'd like for folks to know or where they should go if they want to connect with you?
M3learning.com stands for Miller and his 3 kids. The new book, Outbounding, is on Amazon. You can get it there. Proactiveoutbounding.com is a new website we put together that has a lot of these templates and ideas. And I did some videos on a courseware. So if you get on there, there's 5 2 or 3 minute courses that I've put together for free that you can actually use some of the tools in the book. Happy to help. And then Skip at m3learning.com. You have a question about something or whatever else, happy to help.
Love it, man. Well, Skip, man, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking the opportunity to come here and be here with us. And we're grateful for your insights today. And congratulations on the book.
Thank you. And boy, and what a great service. You've been doing this a long time, Donald. You got some great readers and listeners, and we're happy to be a part of it.
Oh, man. Thank you. That was the wonderful Mr. Skip Miller. And if you want to go ahead and connect with Skip, you can find all the details in our show notes. You can get connected to him and check out his book. He's on LinkedIn as well. Just amazing dude, amazing guy, just full of wisdom. He's been around the block. He's worked with organizations, all shapes and sizes, all over the globe. So when he shares stuff, he's not sharing things that's based on his experience alone, but what his clients have been doing and some really good research. In this latest book, he went to the sources that have been doing outbound very, very well, and went to figure out what's working with them. So now you can take this insight, you can apply it, and I highly recommend you check out the book. I have a copy of it and love it. Again, find all the details there in the show notes. You can also see some of the things pop up here at the bottom of the screen to get connected with Skip. As always, I share stuff like this because I really want to help you. I want you to succeed, man, sister. Come on, you know this. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. They're out there and they're waiting for you. They're kept from your solution because they don't know you exist. I want you to know what to say when you actually get with them. I want you to be able to have that insight and be able to have effective conversations. I want you to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to go out each and every single day with a growth mindset and do big things. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up at the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.